Hello and welcome to the Onward VR Master League. My name is TFH, your caster from another coast. And tonight we got a really good matchup, one that means a lot to me. It is Riot versus Entity. Riot, being one of my former teams that I've been on, I know them very well. And Entity is a team that I've been good friends with for a while, especially with their team Captain Fitz, because he actually lives right by me. So we hang out a couple times. But regardless of what I know them, this is going to be a really good match. Riot have been on a good winning streak against Entity, and this is Entity's time to shine. Now, Entity have already come off with, I believe, a really good round win earlier on in the season. They beat very decisively the Questicles 12-1. And keep in mind, the Questicles are not a team to, curl over like that easily. So this really means something about the Entity level of play here, and I'm very interested in seeing how Riot can handle that. Going into the map bans that we've got going on here, Riot, our home team, are going to be banning Subway. Entity are going to be banning Cargo today. Both of them are pretty close range maps with night vision compatibility to a degree. And what's interesting about this is that Riot are relatively decent at Subway, so I'm kind of surprised that they're banning that, but maybe there's something about the Entity offense that they're a little bit more worried about, and that's why they want to ban that. Meanwhile, Entity banned Cargo, and they know that is one of Riot's specialties when it comes to the map picks. Granted, we have a very limited map pick. One of Riot's other favorites is not currently league play. That is Tanker. The league counselors decided that it is not exactly suited for league play as of right now due to many numbers of growing pains due to this 1.8 update that has been very ambitious and so far have been working pretty well as it in terms of the ability to, that's actually a horrible word. The compatibility with league player, it's competitive nature, so it's slowly getting there, but we're not exactly there yet. We're gonna have to wait for some tanker action. I'm personally excited to see what tanker's going to be like in the next update, or in the when it does become legal, I should say. But regardless, we're gonna have to wait till then. Until I get more information, I think we're gonna throw to an intermission when we are able to throw ourselves into the gameplay, and we will see you guys then. Hello and welcome back. We now have our starting lineups for both teams here. On Riot's side, we've got Team Captain Xandria, followed up with Sweet Bean, Reaper Madness, Void 16, and Dr. Sean. On the Entity side, we have Call Me Fitz, Riot Pick, Lumpy, Gunrama, and Red Beardsley as well. Both of these squads here are pretty powerful. A lot of veterans, a lot of newer people, but I think the only rookies we have is Void, if I'm not mistaken. At least from a VRML seasonal standpoint. Void. This is Void's first season in VRML, whereas Call Me Fitz, Rypick, Lumpy, Gunrama have been in the previous season as well. And Reds Beardsley actually played on Riot back then. The magnificent B word that I cannot say. For a couple of weeks as well. As a matter of fact, me and him were both recruited at the same time, but they decided to keep me longer. First objective we've got for the day is going to be the Northern Red Car. Now, these North objectives can be a little challenging at times. They're a little bit more open, not as much cover for the defense. So it depends on which way you look at it. But from both standpoints, defending and attacking, I find these ones to be much more of a challenge because of just trying to find a hiding space and being able to try to find a place to attack from that you can find these little nooks where the Volt can hide. So it's always very interesting to see what strategies these teams provide or that they decide to go on and how well it gets executed. You know, you can always see when a strategy is coming together, but it can never be executed properly at times, you know, because things always look so good on paper but never come to fruition 100%. Still waiting on first round to start its way, hopefully very soon. We are already 10 minutes into our broadcast here. Both teams using up as much time as they can to get a good strategy going. I know Fitz in particular is a very methodical team captain. He likes to take his time. He likes to, you know, basically do his homework. He will watch these VODs, and I'm pretty sure he's going to watch this VOD at some point. Hi, Fitz. And try to figure out where team positionings are, where his team was positioned, and try to adjust his own team strategy and figure out where the other team is going to be, what their personality is like. Are they going to hang back? Are they going to get really aggressive? Are they going to send a flanker around? Are they going to send two flankers around in a pincer movement? Stuff like that. He's going to identify and physically write these things down. Go into MS Paint or whatever it is nowadays, because I don't think MS Paint exists anymore. And physically write on the little maps that you can find online and write a whole map up for each team and physically write what each player is going to do at certain points. It's actually very impressive. He showed me his work sometimes, and I have been very impressed by his skill as a captain and his enthusiasm toward the strategic side of this esport. While we're waiting for our teams to get underway, I'd like to give a quick shout out to all of our sponsors of VRML. That would be ProTube VR, VR Cover, B Haptics, Rebuff Reality, Cyber Shoes, Arma, VRware, and Fixed Gaming. Thank you for supporting the VR esport, and definitely go ahead and support them back as well. It's a very small community, and they can use all the support that they can get for all their amazing products that help us with our immersion and help us look as professional as we do.
What? Mother's milk.
Both teams spawned on in.
I don't know. Are you high?
Gonna hang out with the entity side to start off with. Let's see how they set up their defense while Riot choose how they want to go on the offense here. It looks like they're gonna do for a pretty standard layout, getting people on the porches, having some people hide behind the fences and jersey barriers, and just wait for Riot to come to them. Couple of nades going off there. Doesn't exactly find Reefer Madness. A good throw by Red Beardsley nonetheless. It looks like Riot are just gonna camp out inside this middle house here and wait for Entity to get a little bit more aggressive than they are, but someone gave Redbeard their nade because he just threw 2.
Yeah, he's only got water utility. The white building on the far between 3 and 4.
It's a pretty good spread coming out from Riot right now. It's a little bit more centered in the center, but regardless, ooh, a couple of nades going out towards Sweet Bean. Ooh, and Sweet Bean is able to find Lumpy on a pretty nice little peek there. I'm surprised Lumpy didn't shoot underneath the bus, but Xandria is going to get that. Or no, Sweet Bean will get the confirm in that case. Almost got stolen by Xandria. Xandria is trying to try to peek around there onto Riot Pick, but then decides that is not the best idea because he doesn't. I think he realized that Fitz's position behind that fence there would have easily taken him out. So it's a really smart decision from Riot's side there to wait until that back end of the defense of Entity is taken out. Dr. Sean is taking a couple shots onto Gunrama. He's not able to find it, though. I think he's got the right idea. I think he has an idea where Gunrama is, but Gunrama's just stayed so tough that Dr. Sean doesn't exactly understand the position. Sweet Bean is able to find Calming Fitz. Red Beardsley is able to find Void, and Right Pick's able to get one onto Sweet Bean. Now we're into a 3v3 situation. Red Beardsley peeking out there is able to, or Right Pick actually finds Reefer Madness as Redbeard rotates back into his original position. Now it's all up to Xandria and Dr. Sean. Xandria teleports a little bit. I wonder if that's a netcode issue. That says it's not a bug, it's a feature. Oh, boy. And Dr. Sean is still focused on Gunrama's position.
Okay, the building between lane 3 and
Red
lane
Beardsley is being surprisingly quiet knowing him. But he knows that if he speaks, Xandria will know exactly where he's at. I think Red Beardsley's got a nice little surprise set for Xandria, knowing Redbeard. Ooh, it looks like Right Pick is beginning to rotate around here. He's looking to kind of force the pinch onto Xandria. Xandria's got to act here quickly, take out Red Beardsley. It's his best option. Red Beardsley pokes around. Xandria's shooting through the bush. He takes Red Beardsley out, and now the objective is wide open, aside from the fact that Gunrama now has to rotate, but Dr. Sean is sneaking up on the Gunrama. It's the world's slowest game of Ring Around the Rosie around a car. Ooh, Gunrama gets the early pick on that one. Now we're into a 1v2. Xandria is now lining it up with Riot Pick, but he's not able to make that connect. Entity will take the first point.
That's fine, man.
Nice little push from Riot there. I think what went wrong was a very solid defense from Entity. It's kind of hard to get through that in any case, but also the fact that they let themselves get a little pinch there. The Dr. Sean wasn't able to clear his end, and that caused a little bit of trouble for Xandria going into the middle of that round, and he kind of had to, he was forced essentially to fall back and try to reset himself, but Right Pick was just perfectly placed in order to counter that, and that is a pretty easy done deal for Entity on the first round. Now Riot will have the chance to defend the same objective, because for those of you who are new to the game, both teams will get to defend the same objective. Doesn't mean they will get the same spawn on every map, but on this particular objective, Entity will get the same spawn because there is only one spawn for Marsoc on this particular objective, or any of the north objectives, actually, I should say. Going into the kill counts there, Riot Pig is just on fire today. 3-0, just carrying the defense on the first round there. Definitely a very impressive player for Entity's squad in that case. Also, just a couple of great nades coming out from Red Beardsley too. If they were just cocked a little bit to the right, they definitely could have gotten an early pickup. Heading into the second round now. This will be Riot's time to defend.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and see how Riot choose to set up their defense. Oh. I believe Riot was talking about around reset, but a bit of pre-fire happens from Sweet Bean at, I believe, I don't know. I think he's just pre-firing, honestly. I don't see any member of Entity by the burning house that he was looking at.
The ones at lane 4 now?
That would signify
Well, he was running 2 lane 4
the
from
warrants of
lane 4.
pre-fire.
Dude, why did
Matter
he
of fact,
kill-
Entity is being... They're the ones
He's
on
doing
defense,
sandbags.
honestly.
He's fine.
All of them are,
Oh, okay. All right.
for the most part, in the house, aside from Gun Rama, who's the only one that is pushed out right now. Rest of them are within that, on the same property, maybe all putting it down to down payment. Would definitely make these suburban houses a little bit cheaper.
Guys across the street, wait until
And now we are in...
ball starts slow forward.
I think they call this a standoff. I am not exactly sure, but two teams just kind of hanging out on different sides of the block. That is pretty standoffish to me.
All right.
Go ahead. All right, come on down. I'm on the ring.
Coming.
Now, what Entity is doing, while there may be a little bit of a meme-worthy strat to it, they're just waiting for Riot to send a flanker around, and Riot haven't done that. They are surprisingly staying on their base of operations, to say. They're not trying to get too excessive with their planning. They're just waiting for Entity to come to them, and it's working marvelously. Entity have wasted half the map round not taking real estate. Now Sweet Bean is taking a couple of pre-fire shots onto Riot Pick. Riot Pick is pinned. Red Beardsley is going to come around to try to get the pick on the Sweet Bean. Sweet Bean rotates away. A bit of a nade launch, and a launch nade as well. Won't have enough juice to get there, but regardless, a really good throw nonetheless.
Watch behind.
Sweet Bean is able to escape that firefight. I'm surprised, actually, but given the fact that he can shoot, you can get a shot underneath the car, so that might be the reason behind that rotation. But regardless, Sweet Bean will get the lead end of the gun from Lumpy as he finds that pick. Riot down one member. Entity still at a 5 strong advantage. A bit more pre-fire coming in from Red Beardsley as he just blind fires through the bushes, which you can't see through anymore. So he's literally shooting blind.
My bad. Check the...
Xandria is beginning to get a little peaky. I think he's going to go for it. Lumpy's waiting inside that courtyard there, but Xandria is able to find it through the fence.
One down.
Very nice pick. Now we're into a 4v4 with only 2 minutes remaining. Something's going to happen now. Reefer Madness is able to find Gun Ram. It's only a down, so the res is available. Oh, but the confirm comes out. Riot Pick is able to find Boyd. Dr. Sean finds Red's Beardsley. Now it's all up to Riot Pick on lane 4. Fitz and Xandria are becoming next door neighbors here shortly enough. Riot's defense is getting a little far away from the objective because all the on-objective people have been taken out. Call Me Fitz and Xandria are going to share a little bit of banter before tossing a flash out. Don't think that was successful, but now Xandria is going to start peeking out here. Fitz is in a very good spot to find that. He doesn't realize where Xandria is. Xandria doesn't realize it, but Riot Pick's going to find that pick anyway. It's a very interesting push coming out from Xandria there. I don't understand the full reasoning behind that, but regardless, Riot and Entity now only have 2 members remaining with only 1 minute remaining. 2 former teammates on the 5 Horsemen are left to defend this objective, Dr. Sean and Reefer Madness. Dr. Sean should see this push from Fitz anytime soon. He's in an interesting location. He's not peeking through the fence. No, you can't even peek through the fence anymore. It used to be the meta, but now with this new update, it is not anymore. So Dr. Sean has now got a concrete barrier to hide behind as he picks up Call Me Fitz. Riot Pick is able to find Dr. Sean on that refrag. Now we're down into a Reefer Madness versus Riot Pick situation. Riot Pick has a good advantage right now because, oh, he's in capping range now. Reefer has to move. Reefer has to move, otherwise the cap can come out. Riot Pick is going for a very interesting approach here. He doesn't have the most coverage here, but Reefer does not defend the objective. He does not realize that Riot got up there. Entity, Cap, and are now in a 3-point lead against Riot. That was a very good move coming out from Riot. Just he instinctively knew that Reefer was not in the greatest position to defend from. Moves on up, uses the objective as cover. Part of me wants to think that Reefer saw that move and saw that the cap was happening, but then again, the other part of me sees that Reefer wasn't hustling to the objective. And that's what's confusing to me. I mean, it looked like the line of sight was there to show that Riot was definitely behind that car and able to cap, but regardless, a very good 2 points for Entity there, and a very sly point there. You don't normally see these caps happen in a 1v1 situation in the final minute, but Riot did just that, and now Entity are on map point for the first map. And something of note here, Riot have beaten Entity in the last 3 matches over the past 2 seasons that they've played together. So this could be Entity looking to set the record straight here. We've seen Riot be very competitive with some other very competitive teams like Warfare. And I believe they've even beaten Ember at one point. They've also beaten the 5 Horsemen, who 2 of them have joined this team thereafter. And one thing to know about Riot is they typically bring it together on map 2. It's just something about the second map that makes everything click. So they're definitely not out of the count just yet. But they definitely want to start getting some points on here. Otherwise, you can get into a really mental game and you're battling yourself to just keep the motivation going.
That was my early
into round 3 now.
Actually, fuck, that went off right on time. Thank God.
Reefer Madness is extremely pushed up to that middle lane. Riot looks like he's going to try to go snag himself that one. Mid comes out at the 30-second mark. Reefer Madness is able to dodge that one thanks to some grenade-proof shingling on that little shed there.
One fountain.
Red Beardsley is also pushed out a little bit. A little bit of banter coming out from Xandria as he gets called out. Red Beardsley is in a really good spot, though. Once you basically have to cross that middle lane that divides the map in half, and he has a really good sight line down that entirety of that lane, so he's definitely hearing Xandria right now as Xandria charges up here. I don't think Xandria is exactly ready for it. Oh, he does! He's able to find Red Beardsley, and he's now able to clear up that lane for the rest of his team to cross. Reefer Madness is now pushing up lane 2. Riot is right there as well. These bushes have been a challenge for Entity because they're so reliant on being able to see through them. Sweet Bean finds Call Me Fitz. It's only a down, so he can definitely give some good call-outs. Riot is able to find Reefer Madness through the bushes there as he just, I think he saw the slightest hint of him underneath the bushes. Now Xandria is looking for this pick, but he's not able to find it. Riot is just tucked in. Sweet Bean gets that confirm onto Call Me Fitz. Xandria does find Riot. And now it's all up to Lumpy and one other, Gunrama, to defend the white car objective. Couple shots going off there. Won't find anybody. As Void starts pre-firing into Gunrama's general location, but he cannot find that hit because Gunrama is just cleverly tucked behind those Jersey barriers. This is kind of becoming a bit of a catch for Riot here, as they're not able to take care of this little snag in the defense that Gunrama and Lumpy are kind of setting up here by creating a pinch point. But now Dr. Sean is rotated around. This might be a little more challenging for Lumpy because Gunrama is not as defended over there as he would be from lane 2. Riot are 4 strong. Entity are 2 strong. Only 2 minutes remaining. The move is going to happen very soon here as Void and Dr. Sean team up to try to take on lane 1. Meanwhile, Sweet Bean and Xandria are on lane 4. A bit of flash goes out on lane 1 from Dr. Sean. Plenty of pre-fire coming out from Sweet Bean. He's going to be able to find Gunrama. Now it's only up to Lumpy to defend this objective and be able to secure map 1, but this is going to be very challenging. Void is going to cross into the sight line of Lumpy right now. Lumpy just needs to peek out a little bit and he'll be able to get himself a Void. He does. And now he's going to cross out there, but Dr. Sean is going to be able to find that one, and Riot will be able to get their first point on the board pretty cleanly. I think the thing that worked out really well for them is that, for Riot, I should say, is that Entity kind of got themselves boxed, or let me use this term. They painted themselves into a corner. They got themselves into some very strong defensive positions in the early game. But as the rest of their team started getting picked off, mainly the 2 concrete barriers where Gunrama was, you really can't rotate from them, and they don't provide that much cover after you lose whoever's watching lane 1. In that case, it was Red Beardsley. So Gunrama couldn't really do much there. So for the rest of that game, it was really all up to Lumpy to try to pull off some sort of a clutch. And he's done it before, but you know, he's not a wizard 100% of the time. So it's not going to work out every single time if you're going to be on opposite sides of the objectives, but the further side is the weaker points. That being said, I think Riot did a really good job of, finding a pick and rotating. They didn't really make their position as clear as Entity would have liked it to be. And their push onto the objective was very unanimous. You saw Sweet Bean going across, providing a lot of covering fire. And then you saw, I believe that was Void pushing out. Granted, he did get picked up by Lumpy, but Dr. Sean following that up is a very powerful move, because once Lumpy shoots and takes out Void, that's going to give away his position. His defense is worthless from there on, because once you're inside that porch on the white car objective and people know exactly where you're at, there's not much you can do. You don't have that much movement room, and there's not much cover for you to kind of jump cover to cover in order to get out of there. So it's you really can only get 1 kill off that defense. Heading into round 4 now, we're going to see Riot defend the same objective, the white car. It's a very challenging objective, as we saw for Entity. They struggled a little bit, but now this is Entity's time to finally secure map 1.
Don't do that, though. I'm gonna do it.
Alright, thanks, sweetie. Thanks for believing in me.
A bit of banter coming out from Riot on their end. And it looks like Entity are going to do the same thing as they did before, where they're going to hold their half of the map very strongly. They're not going to push too far out. Xandria is going to push though, and he's going to get picked up by Redbeard. That's exactly why they do that, is to catch out the flanker when he does that, because there's no way that someone can flank if everyone's on the back of the map. Redbeard is able to find Void as well. Ryan have just lost 2 members, essentially. Xandria is able to provide callouts, but there's only so much that he can do before Gunrama goes and gets that confirm in.
There's nobody over there.
Now Gunrama is going to be able to find that confirm. Yep, no more callouts for Riot, as they are down to 3 members, whereas Entity have 5. I think that's what they were talking about in the spawn when Dr. Sean was saying, seriously, don't do it. And Xandria went ahead and did it anyways. And that was the flank.
Straight across from.
Entity are not a team you want to flank against. And I know this because they practice all the time with Ember, and Hailfire will 100% of the time flank and does it masterfully. So Entity know how to take care of a flanker when they know they're going up against one, and
We only have 3 left.
it's just not going to work against this team. I will tell you that 100% of the time. Now, Entity are beginning to do their push. 3 members on lane 4. 2 members on lane 1. This is a pretty hard pincer movement going on here. Force a battle on 2 fronts. It's going to be pretty challenging for Riot to deal with when there are only 3 people. Ooh, nice pick for Riot pick as he finds Sweet Bean yet again on that lane 4 side. There's not much that Sweet Bean can do. He's going up against 3 people. Dr. Sean's able to find Red Beardsley, though. That cleans up his side a little bit. Makes it a little bit easier as Gun Rama gets across and is now on the lane 1 side. Flash grenade goes off. Now Dr. Sean's trying to look for that pick, but he's not able to get out far enough to be able to find Gun Rama, who is hanging out in the bush. Rypick and Lumpy are taking opposite sides of the street. Dr. Sean's able to find Gun Rama finally, and Rypick finds Reefer. But Reefer's only down. He can provide callouts here. Looks like Dr. Sean's prepping a nade. And it's a good flash. And Reefer is able to call out Lumpy, but Lumpy finds Dr. Sean. And that's going to be map 1 for Entity, 4-1. And a very strong showing from them. They definitely understood how Riot likes to play. They planned accordingly. I think Riot's better rounds on offense were on defense is when they weren't flanking, because Entity are very well aware of the fact that Xandria absolutely loves to be the run and gun hero and run around the map trying to pick up whatever kills he can from people's backsides. That's just how he plays, and Entity are very, very aware of that. Waiting on seeing what map 2 is. But if you are just joining us for the first time, thank you for checking out our wonderful esports channel. We have many different games that we cast just like this. Echo Arena is one of them, and my goodness, that is a very popular title. Definitely go check out their channel, Echo Arena VRML, on Twitch whenever they're streaming, which is very often, I may say. Their coverage is incredible over there. But I can say for certain that map 2 is going to be Bazaar, one of my favorites. This is going to be, I know this is also one of Fitz's favorites as well, so this is going to be a very interesting map for both teams, as it kind of plays very similar to Suburbia. It has, a very distinct midpoint. It kind of has its own lanes, but the objectives are laid out a bit differently. That's where it kind of has a unique sense to it. First objective that we will have, it's going to be the West Market. This objective in particular is very well known for its quick spawn, which, matter of fact, is such a quick spawn that right after the defense can get to it, they can almost expect the offense to be right there as well. It's just that quick. But it's only one of the quick spawn's only one of 2 spawns, so there's a 50% chance that Riot can take advantage of that particular spawn. If not, they're gonna have to strategize a different way around that might not take advantage of the fast attack approach. But if you are new to the VRML format, we play best of 3. And Entity have already claimed 1 map, so they only need to claim 1 more if they want to be able to take the W. Riot need to find this map right now if they want to be able to go to a map 3 decider, which I'm always a big fan of, so I hope they do. Now, I'm hearing from my producer here that, and this is a cool little factoid of information, one thing that teams can do is that when it's their time to pick a map, let me explain it this way. When you normally pick a map, you normally take the Marsoc side since that was your map choice, and in earlier versions of the game there used to be a major Volk advantage, so they would give Volk side to whoever is receiving the random map, so that way it balances out the play a little bit. Now it's not so much of a Volk advantage, but it's still there a little bit. But what you can do if it is your time to pick is you can choose to actually give up your pick and let the other team pick, just so you could have that Volk side. And it appears to be that Entity have chosen to do so, given the fact that Riot is back on Marsoc starting this round. So maybe there's something about this defense that Entity really want to do on this particular map against Riot, or they just want to play defense all the time. I don't know. I'm not Entity. Another thing to consider is we don't have Tanker anymore to play, and we don't have, and well, actually, oh yeah, Snowpeak's off the table as well. And Snowpeak and Tanker are both, well, I know for certain Snowpeak, I'm gonna say that. Entity loves Snowpeak, so this is probably playing into their strategy a little bit going into this, that they can't choose the maps that they feel the most comfortable on. So they just want to play Volk because they want to play on a side that they can control more, and they feel confident on all the other maps, but they just want to play Volk so they can have that Volk advantage, especially on a map like this where they can just defend once, cap, and then defend again, and boom, that's a round if they're able to pull that off in 3 rounds, which they were almost able to do on the last map, but Riot were able to sneak a point in there, so that wasn't exactly how it played out for Fitz and the gang. Now, it looks like Riot are missing Xandria in this case, their team captain. So I think in the meantime, while we wait for their 5th, whoever it is, to come on in, I think we should throw to an intermission really quickly, give the casters a short breath, and we will see you again when the gameplay resumes. And welcome back after a bit of a delay coming out. A bit of a roster change happened on Riot's side. Xandria has been cycled out for the unseen threat, or unseen as he is seen on screen. Say that 5 times really fast. I'm already tripping myself up. Anyways, starting off in this first defense for Entity, they're going to be defending the west objective. I'm sorry, east objective. I can't see a compass for some reason today. Regardless, we will still the cast will still go on. As Riot choose to fortify themselves. Ooh, a couple shots coming out there from Void. He's able to identify a member of Entity, but is not able to find that pick on it, as Rypick is slowly working his way on up to the right position. This is going to be very interesting seeing how this flank comes from Rypick. He does have to worry about Unseen, who is hanging back, but Unseen doesn't have the direct... Ooh, the sight line is emerging now, and Unseen does see it. He's able to find Rypick before any call could come out. That is 1 loss for Entity. Riot are still 5 strong and looking pretty good going into this first round on map 2. And Red Beardsley is fortified. He's probably the furthest entity out now that Rypick is out of the picture. He's inside the West Coyote building, but now they're kind of conjoined. If you haven't seen the new update, where they physically have opened the walls between the 2 upper levels of it, so it's much easier to access the 2 halves of Coyote now. So people have been having a bit of trouble anticipating that little bit further of a push that is available, but regardless, it's fun to see how the meta changes with one simple map change. Reefer Madness and Dr. Sean tag teaming it up as they approach Call Me Fitz's position. Fitz is being super quiet right now, but he's also turning around, which means that he can hear Dr. Sean. Oh, yep, the nade comes out. Dr. Sean, it catches him right at the last minute. That nade toss is so perfect. The rotation comes out as well. That will mask his movements. Reefer was not able to follow that one up. He would have been in a great position to do so, but it doesn't happen. Lumpy's able to find Unseen along the wall now that we're into a 3v4 entity with a 1-man advantage on defense. It's going to be a little bit harder. Void is still very conscious, I believe, about the Red Beard positioning in that West Coyote building. But he has to push soon because the rest of Riot is encircling the objective, and he's the furthest one behind. So the last thing that Riot needs is to have a 2-man push with 1 person holding back when they're down a man. They need all hands on deck for this kind of approach. Sweet Bean tosses a nade. Ooh, that might find gun. Oh, no, it's not. The wall is in the way. It looked like it for a second, but the UI deceived me for a quick second there. But Reefer Madness will definitely have to deal with Gunrama since he is on the inside of that garage. And the moment that Reefer peeks out of the door that's on the inside of the door, or of the garage complex, I should say, Gunrama should be visible. Gunrama is speaking a lot. He's not worried about his covertness as much. He is hanging behind a locker, but Reefer definitely understands that someone is there. Fitz is ready to follow that one up as well. Void is working his way on in. I think he's trying to get a sneaky one on to Red Beardsley. Lumpy is able to find Sweet Bean. Now we're into a 2v4. Reefer he's being super cautious about this, but hit should be there. Lumpy makes a rotation there. Gunrama was adjusting something on his headset. He did not see it. Now Fitz is rotating back up. Reefer has cleared out the defensive kill box single-handedly. Now Redbeard has to move his way on back. Void is in hot pursuit. Reefer Madness is going for cap. Red Beardsley is able to find Void. That's going to buy more time for Reaper, actually. That might have been the wrong move. But Reaper has to cap here soon. Otherwise, Redbeard is going to punish here. Oh, the push from Redbeard comes just in time. We could have seen a cap coming for Riot, but the code was just not able to be typed in quick enough. I believe that is a bit of cap training in store for Riot today. I believe that was 15 seconds for that cap, which is, that is, we always talk about 3-second caps and how impressive they are. We don't multiply that times 5. So that is, I think at that point, if you're struggling on the code that much, you might as well just go for, pull your weapon out and fight it out to the very end. And, you know, if you've worked for so much for that point, don't try to get too greedy and pull off something that you're struggling with. Do what you've been doing, use your advantage where your opponent doesn't exactly know where you're at, and just shoot him in the face and hopefully go for that single point win. But just tucking in a little bit more isn't going to work when you've got a defender who's very well aware of the situation that he is in. He knows that he's the last one up. He knows that the objective area has been completely cleared out. He's able to take care of the situation. Granted, that could have worked in Reaper Madness's favor by allowing for more time to allow for the cap to go in, but unfortunately Reaper just was not able to put that code in, and it happens a lot where we just have a code that we struggle on. But you know, you can't commit to one strategy, especially in the final moments of the round, for too long. Now Riot will have a chance to defend the same objective. And Entity lately have been playing pretty conservatively. They've been very conscious of the fact that Riot do like to flank, and they don't, on offense, they have been playing very defensively. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Matter of fact, I'm going to go take a gander over to the Entity side to start with.
Don't get shot right away.
And it looks like that they're going to do a standard push. They're not looking like they're trying to defend a certain block or hold back as much as they have been before. I think the only bit of defense that Entity's got really going on for them right now is that Lumpy and Red Beardsley are they're just holding their own little block. They've got Riot to back them up as well. Make sure that no one gets across the street as well. But it looks like Riot are staying very tucked. Dr. Sean's going to go for a very wide rotation. I'm surprised Riot didn't see that. Maybe the car was obscuring the view, but I think Dr. Sean has an idea of what's going on, because he is pointing his gun in the general direction of these three members of Riot or of Entity. Dr. Sean has been called out now, though, by Red, I believe. It's a little harder to discern the voices now with the new update, being a bit more Quest compatible. They have to obviously change the audio to match the Quest's capabilities. So it's can't excuse me if I botch who's talking and whatnot. It sounds a little bit samey now. Lumpy and Red Beardsley are just hugging the wall which they came up on. Lumpy is now able to get into the Kayat building, which is such a powerful position on this objective. It's mainly a staging area. It allows you to have a little place to defend right before you make your final push onto the objective. And this is exactly what Entity want right now. They're still 5 strong. They want to preserve that as long as possible so they can, every single one of them, all 5 members can push onto the objective and have a good place to push from. They're also waiting for the other 2 members, Gunrama and Call Me Fitz, to complete their rotation round to completely pinch Riot in and box them into their own kill box. Sweet Bean is able to find Gunrama though, so that's going to make Call Me Fitz's job a little bit harder. He does have a bit of an advantage because now he knows Sweet Bean's general location because of those gunshots. But he doesn't exactly know where. Dr. Sean's able to find Red Beardsley, but Riot is able to get that refrag. Now into a 3v4. A couple of pistol shots going off. Don't find any connection. And Call Me Fitz is kind of just staging himself on this street corner as he takes a couple
There's
shots
one
with his
far northeast
suppressor.
corner.
He's able
Far
to
northeast
identify
corner.
Sweet Bean's position. Oh, the nade was aligned properly, but there was just not enough juice thrown on that. Fitz throws a nade back, but it bounces off of a power line. As crazy as that is, and he's able to connect it with Sweet Bean now, as that is a clean headshot. 2 minutes remaining into the round. We're into a 3v3. Lumpy, or Unseen, I should say, is actually pretty pinched in. He does have Reaper and Void to help him out, though, in the objective area. And this is exactly what Riot want at this point. They need as many people as they can to be as close to the objective as possible, so they can kind of take on this besiegement of the objective block, if I can call it that. Void is able to find Lumpy by peeking out of a flower pot. More like a tree pot because it's a little oversized, but whatever. And now Fitz has to start working his way on in. He knows that his manpower is beginning to dwindle now as Riot begin to pick off people as they make their approach to the objective. Riot Pick is going to opt to make his way in through the objective tunnel, judging by his body movements. He can opt to go a different way if he so chooses to, but Riot have really good coverage down this alleyway that he's choosing to go down. Best case scenario is that Fitz finds his way on in, but no, Unseen peeks out. He's able to pick up Riot Pick before he can even do anything. Now Fitz is lobbing utility over the walls to the objective, trying to stir up Riot before he makes his entrance, but Reaper Madness is going to peek on out, and Riot will tie it up 1-1. Very nice little defense from Riot that round. Good offense from Entity as well, but they were getting a little peaky, and I think that's kind of where it began to fall apart. Riot were just able to hold their angles, wait for Entity to come to them, and they punished when Entity were kind of single file coming in. They weren't coming in as one. Granted, it's going to be the meta is very different to what Entity's used to, because along with Tanker being banned, smokes at C4 are also banned, so we also have to kind of keep that meta change in mind, that the smoke and destroy tactic is not as viable an option to besiege an objective defense. So people are kind of relying more on gunplay now, or they are relying on gunplay now, I should say, actually, more than utility to try to work their way into the objective. And that makes the Volk advantage even more prevalent in this, I don't want to say update, but in the current way VRML is playing due to the update. Granted, the teams have really picked up on this new meta and they're learning it really well, but it is definitely a major change because smokes have been an integral part of the meta for years now. Even before I've started playing, smokes have always been the piece of utility you always want to carry when you're on Marsoc if you want to be able to cover a rotation or provide a lot of chaos on the objective. But the way smokes currently are, they aren't exactly fair to league play right now. So obviously we cannot play them right now until an update sorts that out. So like I said before, teams are really learning really well how to play this new meta, the smokeless meta, smoke-free meta, I should say, actually. Zero emissions meta? No, we'll not go that far. But we will have an objective change now. We're gonna have the West or Mini Bazaar objectives, depending on what you like to call it. I believe people also like to call it West Courtyard as well, if you're more of a compass interfaced kind of person. I've grown up with it being Mini Bazaar, so I will always call it that. Entity will defend it first. This one's a really good one to defend. It provides a lot of cover, a lot of buildings you can go in and hide in, and wait for, in this case, Riot to come to them and try to enter whatever kill box that they choose to set up. Now, Riot have a couple options available to them as well. They can go for a pincer movement on both the north and south side and try to divide Entity's forces up, or they can go in 5 strong on one direction to try to overwhelm them. But regardless, it looks like they're going to try to spread out here with oh wow, actually that's a massive push from Red Beardsley. He's gonna try to take the Coyote building as soon as possible and use that new map layout to his advantage as best as he can. Sweet Bean about to toss a nade up. I think he's very aware of the Red Beardsley positioning. Couple shots going off from Gunrama as he identifies Unseen in the blue room. Unseen's going to try to retaliate back, but Gunrama is in good cover. Ooh, Sweet Bean and Red Beardsley are going to trade in the Coyote building. That's the first pick of this round. We're now into a 4v4 with 4 minutes remaining. Plenty of time to work with that. And Dr. Sean and Reefer tag teaming it up again, but they're just taking their time working the middle. They know that the Coyote building was unfriendly for a bit, but it was a trade, so obviously the kill count isn't 100% confirmed until they actually see Red Beardsley's virtual body lying about. Lumpy is in a great spot to pick up Dr. Sean, or surprise Dr. Sean at least if he's not able to do that. He just has to stay quiet and stay tucked. But Dr. Sean's also playing the quiet game right now. He's being super cautious about his movements. He's not making too much noise. He's just trying to get as far into the defense as possible without alerting anybody. But with this new sound update, I don't think a lot of players realize that you make a lot more noise than you think you do, or at least than how you previously did before. So your voice carries further in this. I believe your footsteps carry a little bit further. I think they updated something in the audio drivers that made everything carry a little bit further, and people are still kind of learning this. So something to kind of take account for in future games whenever you're playing or whenever you're watching people play to understand. Lumpy is able to find Reefer Madness as he tried to go across the alleyway there. Excuse me, as I am at a loss for names for a bit here. Void is peeking under the car. I think he understands Gunrama's position. He's waiting for Gunrama to make a rotation, or just trying to check the doorway too. He might not be aware of it at all. But he also is pretty locked in on Rypik's position, but he's waiting for Rypik to make the first move. And that's a very smart thing to do on this objective, because the defense on this objective is very powerful, because there's plenty of places where the defense can hide. You're not exactly sure where everyone's going to be. And the last thing you want to be doing is giving away your position before you exactly know where the defense is. Now, Unseen is able to see that nade toss. He is able to pick up Rypik, but it's only a down to Rypik and provide the calls wherever that is at. Dr. Sean's able to find Gunrama while he was inside that garage. Now, it's up to Lumpy to try to see what he wants to do with this. He can obviously opt to just go guns blazing, come around the corner and try to catch Dr. Sean at an awkward moment. Or he could just wait for Dr. Sean to cross his lane and catch him out that way. But it looks like he's going to opt for the second of those two. Wait for Dr. Sean to go in front of his sight lines and punish him that way rather than give away his own position, which is a very smart move given how quietly Dr. Sean has been playing. But oh no, he doesn't even have to worry about taking out Dr. Sean, because Riot have already taken care of that for him. Unseen with the team kill. That is just, ooh, that is not how you want to do when you're in a 2v2 now with no res available for Unseen to amend his mistakes. Call Me Fitz is now spraying and praying onto... Ooh, Lumpy's able to pick up Unseen as well. This is exactly what we were talking about before, but with a different person. Void is still hanging out underneath that truck. I think Rypik has called him out completely, so that's why Call Me Fitz is spraying and praying into that general vicinity, trying to see if he can get a stray magic bullet onto Void and maybe try to get a nice little pick that way. But Void is the last one remaining here. He's got to be really cautious about that. He does have Fitz kind of giving away his position. It looks like he's going to go for the overhand nade, and it's just not going to work out that well. It's only a flash either, so it won't do too much in that case. He's going to go for the rotation. Fitz will get the res, and now Entity are 3 strong versus the Uno Mano for Riot. Rypik goes for a very risky rotation, gets punished by Void as he repeaks out of the alleyway. Now we're into a 2v1. Lumpy has sightlines down this alleyway, and Void learned that the hard way. Entity extend their lead by 1 point. Well, actually, I'm sorry, don't extend their lead. They get their lead by 1 point. And now Riot is once again on the back foot. And now, going into the next round, kind of thinking ahead here, Riot are going to be doing the same thing. Xandria has learned the hard way that the flanking against this team just does not work. Entity are very well aware of his playstyle. I'm sorry, what am I saying that? Xandria's not even playing. Unseen is subbed in for him, people. What is this? Professional casters, right? Unseen for Xandria, I think, is actually a really smart move now that I think about it. Because Unseen plays very conservatively. As a matter of fact, I would almost argue that he is Riot's most conservative player. He doesn't do crazy moves. He doesn't go out guns blazing. He always stays tucked. He always tries to get himself into a really keen position to be able to attack the enemy, or in this case defending, but to be able to aggress the enemy from a very powerful position, and he does it very methodically. So I think that's a really good swap out for Riot in this case. Granted, he did shoot Dr. Sean in the face, which is not ideal. Definitely could have changed the tide of war for that last round, but I'm pretty sure he's gotten enough correctional tips from the Riot squad already for his kill that he's missing, we'll put it that way, and we'll definitely be a little more aware of that going forward. Round reset triggered by Riot. I believe they still have all 5 members, so I wonder what's going on there, but hopefully it's a quick fix and we can continue our wonderful game of Entity versus Riot. If you're just tuning in, Entity have won very decisively map 1, 4-1. Riot are a little bit of the disadvantage right now. Current map score is 2-1, but it is by no means a set map yet, as Riot can easily take the lead back or tie it back up here in this round. And they seem to be doing really good on defense against Entity. I think Riot have a harder time with Entity's offense, but at the same time, Entity have a hard time with Riot's defense. So I think that's just how this is playing out, the different play styles, and we'll see if that holds true or if I don't know what I'm talking about. It looks like Riot are going to set up a little bit more of a condensed kill box this time, or it's still similar. Well, actually, they do have Void pushing out, but I don't think he's going to push out to Kayat building like Redbeard did, which is the major difference in the defensive layout that we're seeing here. Bit more of a exercise of caution coming out from Entity, except for Lumpy, who is already next door neighbors with Sweet Bean Jelly. And it looks like that, talking from an overview kind of standpoint, Entity are opting for a very similar approach. Sweet Bean is able to find Gun Rama as he was approaching from the ice cream truck block. It was kind of like a mid-approach, but it looks like he was walking along the street there, so he's kind of caught an awkward moment. Lumpy's able to find Sweet Bean on that refrag, though, so now we're down into a 4v4 situation with plenty of time to spare. 3 minutes and 30 seconds remaining on that clock. But 2 members of Entity are hanging really far back. They're very aware that Riot do like to flank, but none of their flankers are on the roster right now, so I'm kind of surprised they're doing that. So the good old Redbeard, call me Fitz double. The story of Entity actually started with Redbeard, as this was his rookie team. Started off the Lords of War, I believe it was called. Carried that name until recently when Fitz decided to change it to Entity. After Redbeard was a little bit out of the picture at the time, but he is clearly back on the team. And Fitz and Redbeard go back ever since that rookie tournament, so I'm not surprised that Redbeard chose to rejoin this team. Matter of fact, talking with him, he still talks about like how Redbeard has gifted him a guitar once, I believe, so that was actually kind of cool. Rypick is hanging out by the wall. Reefer Madness is waiting for that, but he's in such the perfect place. As a matter of fact, his positioning inside this little alleyway is just almost ideal to not be seen by a Rypick, because that really narrows the line of sight down to the point where you have to be at the truck if you want to be able to identify Reefer's position. Rypick is gonna chuck a nade over, won't be able to find anybody. Just shows how nade friendly this team has become ever since Snokes have become disabled. Lumpy and Void are getting very close, but Void's in a bit of a conundrum now as he has Call Me Fitz to follow up if he is able to take out Lumpy. I'm sorry, got a little lost for names there, but regardless, Lumpy is beginning to push on in, albeit very slowly. He's just trying to preserve whatever slowness he can. Lumpy will be able to find Dr. Sean. Call Me Fitz is able to find Unseen. Now only 2 members of Riot left. That is Reefer Madness and Void, who are in very interesting spots on the objective to defend from. Not exactly the strongest, but is what they have to work with. They have painted themselves into a corner now. And Lumpy looks like he's going to go for the drop shot. I think Void's very aware of this, but he locks on in, but Lumpy is just more prepared for it as he's able to pick up Void. Now it's all up to Reefer Madness, who is on objective now, but he has 3 members of Entity bearing down on him. He's trying to just pick, or he's actually going back to where he was before, just trying to make sure that all of his bases are covered. He's going to go for the hard flank on the right pick. He's able to, he trades with Lumpy, and while it was a great move in theory, it just wasn't able to be executed properly as that trade goes out. Entity will pick up another point. Is now 3-1 yet again. Ooh, and I really can't stress this enough. One of my favorite objectives to watch is next. This is Riot's time to turn this around. It's the Coyote objective up next. And with this, how this update has been, I'm really interested in seeing how this meta is going to play out with the Entity's defense, given the fact that now both of the upstairs rooms are now brought together, so rotations can be, it's no longer East and West Coyote, it's just one Coyote now. And what I mean by that, for those of you who aren't really familiar with that call out as much, is in 1.7 those 2 buildings were completely separate buildings with walls in between them, everything. Matter of fact, if you want to get from one top floor room to the other, you physically have to go downstairs, run across in a very exposed location, like really in front of the objective, go to the other set of stairs, and then go back upstairs again if you want to get to the other room. But now, with the rooms being conjoined now, you don't have to do that. You can just literally walk across the room, and that can allow for greater rotations after finding a pick or maybe getting called out on defense. This makes the defensive position a little bit stronger, and it reduces the amount of MARSOC bias that this objective has, which this was probably one of the more MARSOC biased objectives on this map, and maybe in the game as a whole. So this is going to be very interesting to watch. Jumping on and following Entity as they set up, waiting for Riot to push the aggression as the barriers get lifted for them to release. Bit of planning in the very end for Entity as they kind of declare where they're going and what their intentions are in said locations. Looks like a pretty spread defense coming out from Entity here. They're not really clumping up on the objective as sometimes we do see. Redbeard taking up one of the garage positions to clear enemy come closer as Dr. Sean is able to pick up a Call Me Fitz. Rypick is able to pick up Void. Now we're into a 4v4 right off the bat. Rypick could follow up on Dr. Sean. Maybe reclaim a little bit of vengeance for his team captain. But Dr. Sean is pushing in pretty hard here. You have to understand the rotation. It's a trade, actually. So there is nobody left on the west side for Entity now. This has got to be the side that Riot choose to push on. But most of them are now biased in the east, as we have Sweet Bean and Unseen pushing their way on, using up as much of the map as they possibly can in order to execute their strategy. I think Unseen's intention in all of this is to try to shift his way on around to the north side of the map and try to attack from the objective's backside and while Sweet Bean is attacking from the front and cause a pincer movement that will spread Entity's forces out wide. They just have to coordinate this all with the other member of Riot. I believe that is Reefer Madness, yes, as well, who's also perfectly positioned to aggress the objective's market side, the south side, if you're more on the compass basis again. Double shots going out there. Oh no, it's happening again with Unseen. He's almost shooting his own teammate. I don't think they're communicating that well. Unseen. I wonder if this. No one's checking their tablet. Sweet Bean's checking his tablet now, but this is definitely a major communication issue right here. If you're getting shot at and you know that's coming from a friendly position, you should be calling it right out on the radio saying friendly. Or, you know, making it clear that you were just shooting at a friendly. Now Unseen's locked onto Red Beardsley, but Red, his former teammate, is going to get the better of that. As Riot slowly disintegrate now. One available res for Riot, that's Reefer. But that's going to be, ooh, nope, I'm sorry, that was Unseen. But that potential res now elapses as Redbeard gets that confirm in. And now it's all up to Sweet Bean and Reefer to pull something off here. Reefer looks like he's already up to something. He's already working his way on through the marketplace here. Very interesting approach. He doesn't have that much cover available to him, and Gunrama's going to see him at some point. He's got to be checking over his shoulder if you want to try to approach this way. It looks like he is, but just not enough. Gunrama is pushed super far out. This could go very sour for Riot if he doesn't check over his shoulder. Like, I'm watching him move his laser over. It's just not far enough. He's too focused on that objective, and Gunrama is going to be able to get that pick. Now it's all up to Sweet Bean with 1:37 left to pull something off here. Whether he chooses to run and gun in there, try to go for the cap. The smokes aren't there, so he can't really support that kind of a push anymore. The Volk advantage is definitely restored on this objective. Now, he is playing the best way he can, in my opinion. He's just playing it as slowly as he can. He's waiting for Entity to get pushy, try to force the round here in the last minute, and wait for Entity to come to them. But Entity don't play that way. They like to just chill out, have a good time on objective, and wait for Riot to come to them. Now, he does have to manage his time. In about 30 seconds here, he'll be getting the iconic little beeps in his headset signifying the final 30 seconds of the round, and that really applies the pressure when you didn't realize the time management was there. New meta update in Onward recently. Oh, Sweet Bean's able to find Gunrama through the wood there. Very nice little pick. New little meta update that also has been messing with players is the reduction of the round timer by a solid minute. So a lot of people kind of have a rhythm in their mind saying that, okay, I have enough time to be able to do this and that, but now they have to consolidate that a little bit more than they used to. Being tossed his mate out there and won't be able to do that. It gives a little bit of indication. Lumpy where he's at, that'd be a trade, but that is all that Entity need to be able to secure round 2 and the game. But for those of you who aren't familiar with exactly how we do it here at the VRML, we always play all 3 rounds during normal season in order to confirm placement within the ranks on the leaderboard. That way we run on a system called MMR, which is a advanced calculation, which I'm not even exactly sure of how it exactly works, but basically the more points that you get over a team that you beat, the more points you get, and it also takes into account where both teams were on the scoreboard and whatnot. So very similar to a lot of competitive games like Rocket League out there and what have you, and how they do their competitive rankings as well. Map 3 is going to be Bizarre. I'm sorry, that is not correct. It's Quarantine, because I am at a loss for names again. This has been a theme throughout the cast, so bear with me as I fumble with those. First objective is going to be the burning building, or what was used to be burning. It is no longer on fire anymore, as this map got a major revamp. Really messing with the meta once again, as we've talked about so many times in this cast already. But a lot of things have changed in 1.8, and this is one of the things I'm really excited for in 1.8, because I really like how this map looks. Once again, Riot will be on Marsoc again. It looks like they haven't chosen to play Volk this time around, but
Entity are very happy to have that Volk side once again. The Volk advantage after the smokes have been removed from league play has been very prevalent here because it really reduces the amount of tools available to Marsoc. And on top of that, Volk also have the tiny little rolly drone as well, which is the most adorable thing in Onward as well. So along with providing a great advantage if you choose to use it, it also gets a little heart points on my book. Hopefully we can get these rounds going for you right away after we've had a lengthy timeout on round 2 and kind of showcase how great this map looks now. We do have all 5 players in the round, and it doesn't look like that there are any changes, so I think until we have the actual spawn-in happen, we're just going to cut to another quick break, and we will see you guys when the action resumes. Alrighty, and welcome back. That intermission was a lot shorter than I expected it to be. Thank goodness, because now we can actually get back to the action that we are so waiting for. Looks like Entity are going to set up a pretty spread out defense, one on both rooftops now, that we have a north and south rooftop available for use on this map.
I didn't see anything crater.
I believe the south rooftop is still called the hospital objective due to the fact that there is a ambulance conveniently placed by there. So if you hear that called out over the comms every once in a while, just know that's what they're talking about. Riot are choosing to go on a very north biased approach here, but Lumpy is able to identify that immediately and picks up one for his own. Void, Lumpy's victim specifically, is only down but not out, so he can still call out exactly where Lumpy is if he doesn't go for this confirm anytime soon. Madness is able to find Red Beardsley as Red was trying to snipe from the building, or from the from the little skyscraper with the wing on it. I don't exactly know if there's a call out for that.
There's one on regular roof, north roof, north roof.
A couple more shots coming out from Lumpy as he identifies another member of Riot, Reefer Madness in this case, but he's not able to get shots landing, at least not authoritatively enough to cause a change in the gameplay. Unseen, though, is creeping up on Lumpy, and he almost gets that laser directly on him. I think he is... Yeah, oh, there it is. Very cleanly picked off. Riot Pick also gets one of Riot on its own. Now we're into a 3v3 with one Resable on both sides. Unseen having control of this north end is very crucial for this objective. It really constricts, I should say, what Entity can do defensive-wise. Call Me Fitz is able to find Dr. Sean, but Riot Pick will snatch that kill away from him as he gets the confirm. Gunrama is able to revive, I should say, Red Beardsley, so now Red can resume doing whatever he likes to do on that 3-story building. Unseen is kind of sneaking up very slowly, though, and like I said before, Unseen's a very sneaky player. He holds true to his name, so he can he can sneak up on the enemy really quickly before anybody notices him. So it'd be really interesting to see how he plays this specific situation
minutes
out.
left.
Void is still down but not out, so still providing those juicy calls. Probably even said that Redbeard got revived, his own kill. Sweet Bean might try to go for this res as well, judging by his movements. Woo! Couple shots go off on the north side. Sweet Bean identifies Red's position and realizes that he can't go for that res until he takes out Redbeard. Oh, and the confirm goes out as Riot was aiming at Sweet Bean. Oh no, it wasn't a confirm. He timed out, or he bled out, I should say. It just looked like he shot him, but it didn't appear on the ticker, so I'm going to assume it was a bleed out. Unseen is using that suppressed fire to try to take shots at Gunrama through the through that walkway. That walkway is penetrable bullet-wise, as I've recently found out, but I don't think Unseen understands that mechanic just yet, and so he's going to put off that problem until later. He's going to focus on Redbeard first, because he does know that he is inside that building that he is so bravely commandoing up to. He is the last man standing on Riot, as the UI so clearly points out. So he's got a lot of pressure on his shoulder and a lot of food on his plate, as he has to take out 4 members of Entity with only 45 seconds left. Now, whether or not that is possible, I'm going to be on the side of no, but then again, Onward has proven me wrong many a times before, but Unseen really needs to get a move on if he wants to be able to try to squeeze something out here for Riot in this case. Beep's going off in his headset now. He really picks up the pace after hearing that he only has 30 seconds remaining in the round to be able to pull something off, otherwise he's going to run the round timer down. Looks like he's going to sneak right past Redbeard by just directly running past him. Both Rypick and Call Me Fitz are waiting on the objective. Unseen sees Rypick is not able to make those shots connect. Now he's going to hang out behind the plane fuselage. Now coming back out, Rypick's not able to line that one up. Unseen's just going to go for cap. Unseen, oh, but it ran out of time. I think Rypick knew that too. That's why he just stopped. Oh yeah, these timers, the minute reduction in round timers is definitely nice from a casting standpoint, as it's not a full 6 minutes of shot casting anymore, but it is definitely messing with the player base, because especially for players like Unseen, who like to use up a lot of time, you know, trying to make their approach, being really methodical about it, and it's messing with them, because like I said before, these players have a kind of subconscious rhythm attached to this game, where they know that they can be at certain points at certain times in the game. But now with that minute reduction in the time, they have to readjust themselves to where they have to be at certain times, and they have to play to a faster pace, which they might not be as comfortable with right off the bat. So we're going to see a lot of these round timers probably come into play as players quickly remember that it's now 5 minutes, not 6. Now just waiting for the next round to start, which it is actually right now. But I was actually going to give a quick shout out to our sponsors one more time, but they're available on the website if you want to check them out. I'll just leave it at that. Another what was formerly known as Burning Building Objective to cover. It's also known as Plain Nose Building now, I think, is the player base likes to call it. Still a 2-story, no longer on fire. All is good in quarantine, right? Looks like Entity are going to actually hang out on the spawn side. They have Crater Spawn to start off with, but they're going to wait for Fitz and Rypick to make their crosses down south. But with without smokes, this cross is going to be very interesting because it's very
One trying
exposed,
to
but
cross
Rypig's
from
able to
south,
get
I might have
across
got
there
him.
just cleanly as Fitz decides to duck for cover instead of trying to risk it. He's actually going to take some shots. Fitz is actually a really capable sniper as well. He showed me his setup, and it's a very interesting setup. It allows for really good aiming when it comes to actual sniping, so I'm not surprised that he's opted to do that.
There's one on
this
hospital,
map.
but I'm gonna hit him.
And Rypik might have an opportunity to get one onto Dr. Sean. Lumpy's able to find Reefer Madness as well as Dr. Sean begins to push very far out, but if he doesn't push any further, he's going to be in the direct line of sight of Rypik. Or I think Dr. Sean's actually going to see Rypik first. Yes, he will. And that'll be a very clean pick for him as Riot bring it down to a 4v4. Now, Dr. Sean doesn't realize it yet, but he has two members, very angry entity members, coming his way. And he's got to be able to take both of these out. Call Me Fitz is going to be the first one now. I do believe Call Me Fitz is operating with a longer range loadout, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, he is. He has a 4x on that, so it's going to be very challenging. But he is able to get the... Oh, well, he is able to get Dr. Sean, but he also got Redbeard in the process. So I guess that's a win. At least he now has complete control over the south side, so he has something to account for on that front. But now we are into a 3v3 with 3 minutes to go. And Entity have complete control over the north as well. Now, Riot are boxed in, but they are playing that kind of, you know, they're playing that strategy really well. They're just hanging out on objective. They're not doing any crazy moves. They're not pushing out too far in a place where they don't have cover. Matter of fact, the only person who is pushed out is Sweetbean, and he's in a really solid position. So I think Riot has a really good defense given the situation right now. They can really operate with this kind of situation. Lumpy also being on the rooftop is a huge advantage for Entity, as he's able to make sure that Riot can't move around on the objective in the eventuality that Entity works their way on down there and start wreaking havoc on Riot. I believe Lumpy is also a very capable ranged player as well. He's a very good sniper. And almost say, if you're going to play against Entity, don't play long range maps against them as much as you can, because Sweetbean's able to find Gunrama. And he'll also get that compliment, but he does get called out in the process, just like he says. But he's going to hold that position because he knows it's a very strong position, but I don't think he realizes that he needs to be focusing more on the rooftop side of the aspect rather than the lane that he is specifically covering. Lumpy being there, though, doesn't really do much good for Entity at this point, because now down into the final minute, both him and Fitz have to work their way onto the objective, and there's already two people there to handle that, both watching in different directions as well, Unseen watching the south and Void in a better position to watch the north, but not exactly. Lumpy does now begin to make his move in. Fitz has a little bit more time to hang out there and wait, but he has way more time than Lumpy does, and Lumpy's making the correct move. Unseen's able to pick that one up down now. It's all up to Fitz, who's on the south side coming from the ambulance. He's going to have to make a cross across the street here. Usually a pretty dangerous cross, but with the amount of people that Entity have already taken out, it's pretty safe to do right now. It looks like he's going to opt to try to cap from the wall side, but Void is going to be able to pick that one up as Riot tie it up 1-1. Very good map in this case specifically for Unseen, with 4 kills across these 2 rounds so far. This is his map and this is his element. I think he's told me before that this is his favorite map, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is not a surprising result for him. that he really feels like he's in his element on this map. Granted, the meta change has messed with him in the previous round, but maybe he will adjust to that, and Riot can at least get one map to their name in this game rather than take the 3-0. Next objective is going to be one of my favorites. It's going to be the garage objective, I believe. No, actually, it's garage objective, or what was formerly a garage. Now it's just a wing. No, I'm sorry. The new map is messing with me. It's in the plane. It's inside the plane, which is a very interesting aspect. It's not so much coverage inside the plane, so you're going to have to rely on coverage outside of the direct line of sight of the objective, which can be uncomfortable for some teams. But for Entity, I don't think that's going to be a problem. They've played a very spread out defense plenty of times before. They know how to watch lanes. I don't think there's going to be a single problem for Entity on this defense. Riot will have crater spawn to start off with here as they try to chisel their way toward one map.
I'm gonna be a northerner. Think they'll shoot me? Let's see. If I can see one get on the clearing.
And it looks like they're not going to try to send anybody far south for this one. They're just going to send unseen mid. Reefer Madness will be hanging back to try to make sure that nothing funky comes out from Entity along Unseen's pathway. Unseen is able to pick up Red Beardsley though.
Right below the plane. And I can't talk.
His kill count though is going to be a little messed up though, because he's not really sure that he has that confirmed kill just yet. Lumpy has great view onto Sweet Bean. He's able to pick that one off now. Void is rushing on in to try to get that refrag in, I should say. Looks like he's going to opt for a nade, but ooh, the lip of the building just catches that, but it's also a flash, so it wouldn't really have done too much if he was able to pull it off just because of the amount of time travel between the two. Lumpy tosses a flash out himself. Right Pick is able to pick up Dr. Sean along the what used to be a dump truck, but now has been replaced with a cargo container. Void is working his way on up there. There is a gap between that truck that Riot Pick can work with to be able to get a nice clean pick onto Void, but oh, Riot Pick accidentally shoots the ground. Now Void can try to go for this pick onto Lumpy. He only has one way that he can really go, otherwise he will get shot by Riot Pick, so Lumpy is forcing the aggression onto Void. Oh, but Riot Pick's own nade downs Lumpy. That is such a good nade, but such a bad turnout. He can go for the confirm on his own teammate, but Reefer is going to get that refrag instead. What a turn of events this has been, as now Reefer can pick up both kills.
Yo, bro, you ain't
get 2 kills to his name. I'm pretty sure he's going to be pretty happy about that. Riot are too strong, so are Entity, and only 3 minutes remaining. Plenty of time to work on that objective approach for Riot. Plenty of time to reform a defense for Entity as well. Unseen is still working his way up across the middle of the map, utilizing that new courtyard for I believe they call it the post office, if I am not mistaken. There have been a lot of new names after the maps come out, and I'm still learning them all, so bear with me as I botch some of these.
25.
Unseen is aware of the time. I think he's learned that the hard way, that the rounds aren't as long as they used to be, and so you got to be a little bit more conscious of your watch and your tablet as you make your approaches. Reefer is beginning to make his approach. Both members of Entity are along his pathway. Both Gunrama and Call Me Fitz have condensed themselves into the fuselages. Well, I'm sorry, Gunrama is inside the fuselage. Fitz is inside the building next to the fuselage. But as far as building interiors go, it's in the same building. Reefer has a chance to be able to force Fitz to rotate, which is going to be a little bit... It's an advantage in Reefer's way because Fitz won't exactly know where Reefer is, but Reefer can predict where Fitz is going to come out of. And it looks like Unseen needs to work his way on up a little bit quicker as well if this wants to go Riot's way. As Reefer begins to work his way to peek around the corner here. The moments before all mayhem ensues. Only 1 minute left on the timer. Reefer Madness is about to peek around the corner here. Gunrama is waiting and is waiting for him, but he's scanning around. Oh, but they're locking on each other. But Reefer is going to get the better shot out of that one. Tommy Fitz checks his tablets. He knows exactly what's going on. He's going to peek out around that corner. Reefer is going to go for the cap again. Recall me, Fitz hasn't peeked out exactly, but no, Unseen has done it again. He is team killed. Now Call Me Fitz knows exactly where that's at. Entity.
Thank you.
What was going to be not in their favor has now shifted into their favor with a very tragic team killing in the final minute of the round. The score is now 2-1 on map 3. A very... I don't even know how to... That was a roller coaster of emotions in that final minute of the round. There's definitely something going on Unseen's end that he thinks that Marsac players are a little bit different colored than what they are. I wonder what, but regardless, his team killing is not exactly the best thing for Riot as they try to salvage a map out of this. He's been doing so well, and he would have had another kill to his name, 5 kills total, but that team kill has brought it back down to 4, where it was before. Still standing out amongst the team if we're talking kill to death ratios. And it hasn't been equaled even by Entity's side at all, but it just... Entity's late game is very powerful right now. They hold their angles perfectly, they wait for the right moments, they have a very great map of the battlefield in their minds. They wait for Riot to come in, and then they punish them when they're on objective. And that's how strong their late game is. And Riot just needs to be able to preserve themselves for that late game in order to be able to pressure Entity into doing stuff that they're not comfortable with.
No clue until he killed his own guy, and I killed him. That was good for me.
It looks like Fitz is tuning his knowledge of the previous round at hand as they get set up for this next objective. It is still the same objective as before, but this time Riot will be defending the plane and Entity will be attacking. Looks like a very similar strategy as we've had mirroring spawns this time around. Both teams have had the crater spawn to begin with. A couple shots going off right at the bat as Unseen identifies the north push coming out from Entity. He does not see Rypix push further up. Unseen is just focused in on Redbeard and Gunrama. This could be bad for Riot if Unseen doesn't recognize that Rypix has gotten past where he thought he is. But it looks like Unseen has adjusted his laser of focus, or where his gun is pointing at least, to where Rypix will be popping out. Lumpy is able to find Reefer Madness as he works his way on down into the parking garage. For a rotation, Unseen's able to pick up Rypix. And that should signal to Redbeard that maybe that approach isn't exactly ideal. He does toss a bit of a weakly thrown grenade. I don't think Redbeard is fully understanding exactly where Unseen is coming from, and that holds true as he gets shot by Unseen. Gunrama misses a grenade toss. Botches that one. Happens to the best of us every once in a while, but now he's in a bit of a conundrum as he is pinched by Unseen and Void. Dr. Sean is able to pick one up himself. Riot are 4 strong. Entity are only 2.5 if we include that one person who is resable. Void is now training his laser sight down onto Gunrama, is able to pick that one up. Now Call Me Fitz is going to try to rotate around. I think, no, he's just waiting for Void to come around and come to him essentially. But now Fitz is realizing that time's running out, so he has to
Nope,
start
I'm the last one.
moving
God damn
up.
it.
He's plenty of time, 3 minutes, but it's just not enough time in the long run. He does. Oh, he gets the backside of Void, but he's not able to make a connect. So now Void knows exactly where Fitz is at, and now we're into a bit of a game of ring around the rosy around an M1 Abrams tank. Fitz is just trying to play with Void right now, but he's able to get his gun around the corner quicker, and he's able to pick up Void in the process. Now Unseen is able to pick up Call Me Fitz there for the refrag, and gets Riot another point. Just let's talk about Unseen once again. I know he's been team killing for a bit, but he's currently 7-1. So if anyone's gonna give him crap about team killing, please look at the scores, because he's currently carrying Riot, even though he's been a little trigger happy lately. But no one, like, if we're talking once again raw percentages of kill to death ratios, no one on either team has even remotely equaled that. So he is definitely coming out to shine on this map, despite the little mishaps here and there that may or may not have cost Riot a round before. I think Entity also really committed on that north side as well. If we're talking about the previous round, they once again they painted themselves into a corner again. I don't really know any better way to say that. They got themselves along that north wall, but then they couldn't get out because Unseen was watching that, and so was Void, and the Entity just lost 3 members in that mishap by not trying to leave. And that's just one of the things that smokes can facilitate, is being able to remove yourself from play by covering your crosses or what have you, or things like that. Just the smokes are so key to being able to rotate out of, you know, interesting situations that you might find yourself in, but that's no longer allowed. So we're seeing a lot of teams get stuck in and pinned down when they're used to being able to pull that kind of stuff off, because they have the smokes to be able to get out of there, but they no longer can do that.
I'll clip it and I'll put it.
Next objective is going to be the ambulance objective. This is going to be great for the snipers on Entity, because you have that whole rooftop immediately to your availability. Riot Pic's able to find Sweet Bean right off the get-go. And I forgot to mention this too, Redbeard's also a great sniper as well. So you got 3 snipers on one team. Gunram is able to find Dr. Sean. Riot are just disintegrating right now. Unseen is able to find Redbeardsley for Redbeard to get a shot off. The revive comes out from Call Me Fitz. So Redbeard can fight another day. Riot Pic finds Reefer Madness. Gunrama finds that confirm, steals it away from Riot Pic. As now we're into a little bit of a standout. Void begins to push on up. He's able to find Riot Pic, but Gunrama is right across the street here, so he has to be really careful about that. Unseen's able to find Red Beardsley. Once again, Gunrama is able to find that refrag onto Unseen. Now Riot is just Void versus 3 members of Entity. 2 nades come on out there. One was a frag, one was a flash, but none of them are able to find Void due to some interesting corner timing there, or where the grenade blew up in relation to a hitbox. Void is not able to see this rotation of Gunrama, as he is the last one left standing here. He has to be able to find 3 picks here in 3 minutes, 1 pick per minute, but getting a triple is pretty tough in Onward with the amount of hit points that you have available to your body in this game. This is a very punishing game. Literally 2 bullets is all it takes, and with a gun that shoots at 30 shots per second, as Gunrama just figured out there, that's the math's not exactly on your side when you're 1 and 3, but now Void has made the math 1 and 2, so all he has to do is just get this triple, and maybe Riot can get an advantage on map 3 here, and maybe be on their way to securing at least 1 map here. Confirm coming out from Void there. That does give away his position to Fitz and Lumpy. Lumpy is standing pretty far back. Fitz is hanging out right by the objective, so the planned strategy here, as I see it, for Entity right now, is let Fitz do all the work. That being all the work being just shooting Void. And if he doesn't do that, if Void gets the better of Fitz, Lumpy's in a great spot to be able to rotate before the cap can come out, which is great, but you just got to make sure that Lumpy is checking that tablet 100% of the time. But Void is on his way on in. Fitz is pushing his way on up. Is Void ready for this pick? Void decides to go to the corner. He's able to get Fitz. Now the rotation has to come from Lumpy. Lumpy is beginning his rotation. Void is not he's capping now. He's being a little late on this, but Lumpy's coming around the corner. Lumpy launches 2 grenades. They're too high. He's now going to come around the corner. Void is still trying on that tablet, and it does not work. Entity, once again, find another man with his tablet out and get another point. Very good defense coming out from Entity there, and a bit of a correction there. Those were 2 flashes, and those would have caught out Void at the last second there, so he could not see the code being punched in, so preventing the cap from happening and leaving Void in a bit of a helpless state as he tries to defend himself from Lumpy. So I feel like Riot had the right ideas, and their gunplay is great going on to these one-on-one situations, but they just keep getting caught out in awkward situations where they try to get too cappy on them. They don't try to rotate away after getting the kill and letting the last defender come to them. Well, they do let the last defender come to them, I'm sorry, but they don't try to force the 1v1 more into their favor after literally giving up their one advantage, their anonymity, and just try to rotate away. But that's just how Riot are choosing to play it, and it's not working that well with their on objective rates here. We'll just call it that. Going into, I believe this is round 6. And we're going to have the same objective, but this is one of the quicker spawns for this objective. Same thing that Riot had just previously, and it was a pretty quick round as well.
Yeah, do it quick, they won't see us.
Go.
And it looks like there's going to be a 5-strong push coming out from Entity toward the gas station side. This is going to be very interesting to watch.
Alright, I'm running.
Gunram is going to hang back, so it's going to be a 4-strong push with Gunrama doing his own thing, but regardless, this will be very interesting. As Dr. Sean pushes so far, he doesn't even know what's coming to him. He's going to be 1v5 here very shortly. I'm not even sure if I want to watch this manslaughter that's about to happen here. Dr. Sean doesn't even see Riot Pick. Riot Pick picks that one up really quickly. That was just, ooh. I was a little sad to watch, but regardless, Entity are going to be very happy with that early advantage that Riot just essentially gave to them. It was actually really good positioning on Entity's part if they knew that Dr. Sean was going to make that kind of a push. Because then it's like, hey, we know that one guy's going to be down here. Let's just position everyone here so we can get the first kill really easily. Worst case scenario, he takes down one of us. We're in a 4v4. No biggie. I think it's actually really smart if they thought of that. Red Beardsley is in a bit of a pickle as he finds himself taking a couple shots as he looks through this window inside the gas station. He's just going to try to pre-fire along where he thinks when he was hanging out, but Riot are pretty tucked in right now. They know that this is where the push is coming from. Still surprised they have Reaper Madness along the dunes, but regardless, that is what they choose to do. Red Beardsley is able to find unseen, as Lumpy begins to make his push on into the warehouse. Couple of... Oh. This just in. Sweet Bean also has an RPG. This is going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. Oh, Void steals the kill before Sweet Bean can get the kill in. So now Sweet Bean is left with a pistol and has nothing to show for his RPG. You got to be a little bit more coordinated about that if you're going to use an RPG, because you only get one shot to utilize that kind of tactic. Fitz is working his way in along the side of the building. This could get really sneaky here if... oh, wow. This just also in. Riot have no one defending the outside aside from Reefer Madness, so they're really depending on Reefer Madness to catch people out at the corner before they can get around and bury themselves and try to cap. Flash grenade goes out. That should have caught both Fitz and Gunrama, but there is no follow-up to that in order to try to aggress that. Red Beardsley is able to find Void through the walls there. Oh, and Red Beardsley is now in capping range.
Hospital building.
Reefer Madness. Oh, wow. This is masterful. Reefer Madness is already overloaded, and now there's 2 people going for the cap here. Riot will lose map 3, 5-2. I don't know what was expected of that strategy. I mean, granted, Riot could have just been like, let's just have a little bit of fun on this last round. We're probably not going to win this one, and let's just go experiment around a little bit, try something new, have a bit of fun with it, send Dr. Sean out for a flank and see what he can get. And sadly, the experimental having a sniper overwatch the objective and sending Dr. Sean out on the flank to do whatever he wanted to do just did not work out for Riot in that case. But regardless, the final map scores, and I don't have the totals with me at the moment, but it's going to be Suburbia, Riot loses 4-1, Bazaar is 4-1, and finally, as we just saw, Quarantine 5-2. That is, I believe, going to conclude the casting from us today. My name is TFH, and our lovely camera operator today has been NightFiree with 2 E's. Our sponsors here at VRML are Protein VR, VR Cover, V-Haptics, Rebuff Reality, Cyber Shoes, Arma, VRware, and Fixed Gaming. We hope you all have had a great time watching Riot versus Entity today, and that is going to conclude our cast today, and we will see you guys next time around. Have a great day.